Thank you so much, Sandra. Now it's recording. Yeah, sorry. So the indicator is how do I know the objective or the outcome is being met, right? So is it tangible or untangible?
Tangible. I don't know.
Yes, tangible, right? Something that I can see. I cannot really see the objective because it's very like broad, or it's I cannot see if they demonstrated something. I can use an indicator. If what an indicator is what students do. Yes, so that could be either for the whole unit or for the class. It could be in both sort of spectrums. Yeah. Then we're going to assessment and evaluation, which we're going to cover today, and activities and sequences. We said that there was a keyword in activities and sequences. What was the keyword here when we're talking about activities and sequences?
Seamless.
Seamless, right? This sense that there shouldn't be or the transition should be so smooth between the content and the objective and everything else that students don't sort of know, oh, the class is finished. Oh, we did this. Great, excellent. And as Macarena says, thank you, Macarena, the sense of leading. So your opening activity has to lead and be connected to the second one and the third one and the final one. So maybe you will see in other schools that, as we said, teachers just show a random Simpsons video at the beginning of the class just for fun. But if that doesn't have any connection with the class, with the content, with the objective, then it's just lost time. So the seamless and leading are the two main words here, right? So that is what we covered. Today we're going to talk about assessment and evaluation. Materials and time is something we're covering in Didactica, so I don't think we need that. So just to continue with this is all what we did: the skill, the content, the attitude, how to write a beautifully well-rounded objective. Then we saw examples taken from actual lesson plannings. From where do I take these words? And then we're going to indicators. We stated an indicator per objective. Learning outcomes and sequences, and the sense of leading. Here we're going to evaluation. So please, this is the new content. So evaluation. I thought about my objective, I thought about my indicator, and now I have to think about the evaluation, right? How am I going to evaluate? Because the indicator tells me if they've done it or not, right? But the evaluation tells me the degree in which these objectives were met, right? And the evaluation has a lot more to do with the objective of the whole unit rather than the objective of the class. A class objective can be covered with an indicator, right? But a test does not comprise only one class. If you make a test, there are usually 4 or 5 classes all put together in a test, right? So evaluation is more of a bigger concept than indicator, because it is when I have 4 or 5 classes all together and then I come up with a test. I assumed that when you were in your high school and you were covering, for example, present perfect, you didn't have one class of present perfect and then the test. You have the grammar, the practice, the exercises, worksheets, and then the test, right? So evaluation is that. First, tell me please, and in this time I want to either hear your beautiful, beautiful voices, or I want to see what you write on the chat. What do you think, or what do you believe, or what do you have learned is the difference between evaluation and assessment? Or if there's any difference?
Assessment is graded and evaluation no?
Yeah, that's one idea. Other person, sorry? No? Someone else? Someone else? Besides Valentina Hinojosa, size? No one.
Remember that you can type your answer if you don't
Yeah.
want to use the microphone.
Either you're, oh, by the way, Antonia's here. Hi, Antonia.
Yes, hi.
So you can either write it down or tell me about it. I don't care. Yeah. No one else? Okay, I want to hear just one more person. And that's my indicator. That's my only indicator, okay? Valentina. Well, and they're both called Valentinas. You can be the same person. Okay, so I want you to think of if you search for sort of reference on this, different authors will tell you different things. Yes. So, for example, some authors will say the following. Oh, sorry. Some authors will say that assessment is related to objectives and evaluation. It's more general, etc., etc. It doesn't matter what term you use, either evaluation or assessment, as long as you understand that evaluation and assessment is just a large term for what? This is in Spanish because the only place where I could find it was in the Spanish site, which are the types of evaluation. So evaluation can be divided into these things, either by their function. Is it diagnostic? Is it formative, or is it summative? Yes. So do I want to see where they are at? Do I want to check the process, or do I want to check the final result? Yes. It could be by extension. Global. Do people have still global tests? Does that exist still? Question. Did any one of you had global test in your high school?
Yes.
I did, and they still do that.
I cannot believe that they still exist. Like the pressure of you have to learn, just like learn everything remember everything we taught you in the year, do a test. I cannot even imagine that. Or it can be partial. Partial means unit by unit or objective per objective. It could be in terms of evaluator, who evaluates what. It could be what is called inner or an extern. So inner means that the people of the same school evaluate. It could be self-evaluation, it could be co-evaluation, or it could be others evaluation, or in Spanish you say una heteroevaluación. Doesn't have anything with being heterosexual, by the way. It has to do with the fact that hetero means different. I mean, it means yeah, different. So a different person from the student evaluates, usually the teacher. So most of the evaluations or tests are heteroevaluaciones, because the person who evaluates is someone else than the student. Yes. Autoevaluación, I evaluate myself. Co-evaluation, another student evaluates another student. It could be either an externa, extern, in its CIMSE, PSEU, all of that. Now, this is what I want you to, the red part, it's very important because it could be by standard. It could be criterial or normative. Normative, it means that an evaluation has to meet certain sort of objective, right? So for example, let's think about physical education, the worst class ever, I know. But in physical evaluation, when I was a student, I had to do push-ups. You know what push-ups are?
Yes.
So I had to do like 40 push-ups in a minute. And that equals to a grade, right? A mark. That is normative because I have a standard I have to meet. And if you go below the standard, there you lose the grade, right? Now, criterial, it means that there's no standard but yourself. A criterial means that, okay, so let's say that, for example, Andrea Villaseca entered the English teaching program knowing only 5 words in English. Now she knows 10 words in English. Therefore, she gets a 7 because she doubled that. Yes, it's related to Andrea's own sort of process. While normativa, it means Andrea entered the English teaching program knowing 5 words. Now she knows 10, but the goal was 20. So does she deserve a 7? Yes or no? No, because she didn't meet the norm, right? But she did meet the criteria. That is the difference. Criteria is related to the student's process, and normative, it relates to sort of the standard of the national curriculum. It could be qualitative, quantitative, or a combination of both. And it could be done at the beginning. It could be procedural during the whole class. It could be final, or it could be asynchronic, which means that you sort of evaluate something that happened either years ago or last semester, et cetera, et cetera. So there are many types of evaluation. People believe that just because I do, for example, formative evaluation, that means sort of it comprises a whole lot. No, it's just one type of evaluation. Just like tests, they're just one type of evaluation. Or projects are just one type of evaluation. Don't cage yourself into one type of evaluation. See, this is all the combinations you can make. You can make a formative, procedural, quantitative, global evaluation. Yes, you can mix and match depending on the function, the extension, the focus. It's all up to you. In evaluation, you're very free to do whatever you want to here. Okay? Now, moving on. We have, oh, by the way, have you checked anything about evaluation in other classes?
No? A little.
Just a little? Because I think...
Yes, because we just started with that.
Oh, with planificación y evaluación? Epe?
Yes.
Yes. So maybe you will learn this and the teacher will explain this more in a further explanation on this. But I want you to know this is just one type of evaluation. Yeah. Now, there are 2 main routes that we need to focus on, which are going to serve you in your intermediate practice. I can take a formative route or a summative route. Now, no one can say, I only do summative or only do formative. That is impossible. They're so intertwined, yes? But this time we're making a difference here so you can understand and grasp the concepts. So summative are the ones that you sort of know by heart, the ones that probably you have in the program, you had when you were in high school, and it's related to tests and like grades and marks and looking through your old notebooks to see, ay, profe, ver si tengo un punto para subir una décima. That is summative, right? So summative, it means that what you're assessing is the product. So it can be class, test, right? So what you're assessing is not what the steps were, but you're assessing if the student, for example, knows how to write something or say something, or knows the structure of the present perfect, or know how to transform a sentence into passive voice, right? That is the focus of summative. Yeah, next semester I think it is the assessment course. So yeah, so this is just for you to grasp and understand the general idea of it. So summative is product driven. You assess the product, the final part. I always see it as a photograph. So you're taking a photograph of a moment, right? And you see what happens. Did the student do this or no? Yes or no, yes or no. Summative is standard driven, or it has to do with, did the student achieve the objective or no, right? it is teacher-centered. Why is it teacher-centered? It is teacher-centered in the sense that is the teacher the one who always assesses. A test will not be assessed by a student. That doesn't make any meaning, right? A student is not able to create a rubric. The student is not able to come up with a test that has identifying, applying, describing, because they're students, right? So it's more teacher-centered. The teacher is the one in charge of the materials and on the evaluation. And it considers only the final steps. Yes? So a test, a normal test, is the most basic thing we can think of a summative evaluation. While the formative route or route, however you want to pronounce it, is more process-driven. So you don't only assess if the student, for example, understood the text. You're seeing if the student did the pre-reading, the while reading, and the post-reading. So did the student did all the steps? Was he, for example, did he showed up to every single class? Did he finish on time? Did the student for example, did the student, for example, separated the activity into different steps for him to make him understand the activity better? So it's you assess the process, but also the final result. And this is very important in English because you will face, and I will tell you right here, right now, girl, that you will face students who say in your classroom, profe, no me importa, póngame el 2, no sé inglés. So you think that because they don't know English, they already gain a 2 or a 1 or a bad grade. Formative assessment is special in a sense because if a student doesn't know anything, at least you can assess the process. So if the student put effort into the activity, he or she can earn at least a 4. Why? Because if he's committed and it follows every single steps and the instructions, then half of the job is already done. And I assure you that if that student who says, no sé nada, profe, póngame el 2, does the process well, he will eventually improve his or her English. So this is a way to avoid that sort of, no sé inglés, no quiero hacer nada. Or in mathematics, it's also very important. If you don't know how to do an exercise, show the teacher that you care and you did the previous steps towards the exercise. That's how you earn a grade, right? So it's process-driven. It's student-focused. Why? Because most of the assessment here will only be for the student. So the student will know if, for example, they felt like they achieved the goal, if they felt anxious, if the other student completed the task. So students have more of an input here. Now, formative is done all day, every day, at every stage. So when I was a teacher at high school, I always make sure that at every stage of my class, I did one formative assessment. Always, always, always. At every single stage that I had. So for example, what was my formative assessment at the beginning of this class? What did I do? Again, class. What did I do at the beginning of the class? It was sort of formative. Class.
You asked questions about the last class.
The last class, right? So I said, I'm not moving on until sort of someone else's answers with the correct content, and that is formative because it's for you also to remember, and it's for me to know if you actually remember or if you have the notes there. So formative is done all day, every day. Now, let's see here. So what are examples of formative and summative. Summative are tests, rubrics, and scales. Do you know the difference between a rubric and a scale? No?
The rubric is what is expected to achieve in the task,
Yeah.
and scales. I don't know.
Maybe you explore this on a different course, but I want you to know it right away. A rubric or a scale is when you put, this is a scale. So you put, for example, number one, creativity, for example, in oral presentation. Never, occasionally, often, very often. And you just mark the number, the level of achievement, right? Scale from 1 to 5. While a rubric is when you describe the level of achievement. So a rubric is like this one. Are you seeing?
Yes.
So in, for example, recursos, you don't put 1, 2, 3, 4. You explain what 1 means, what 2 means, what 3 means, what 4 means. Yes? That is the difference between a rubric and a scale. Scale is only the level of achievement, and a rubric, you explain the 4 points, where do they come from? Yeah? So it could be summative, tests, rubric, scales. And formative have sort of a wide array of instruments. Now, skills are not more general. Skills are sort of for more specific things. So, for example, oral presentations are assessed with rubrics, while scales are, for example, for tareas. Yes. So, did he complete it? The exercise successfully? 1, very successfully. 3, not so successfully. So scales are for more specific tasks because you have to put every single thing that a student has to do. Yeah, those are scales. And scales inform less about the sort of the level of achievement. Yeah. And formative, you have sort of the wide range of this is one, yeah. You have a wider range of instruments. This is in Spanish, and I will upload this. So for example, what could be formative? No, it wasn't this one. I'm sorry. This one maybe? Yeah, this one. So formative, it could be, I think that we also checked this in a class before, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Formative can be your stamps or timbres, make students come up with a mind map, a student's journal, a Venn diagram, the 3-2-1 method, a student evaluates another student, a portfolio, an exit ticket, an objective checklist, an evaluation, a co-evaluation, una lista de cotejo, a list, which is just yes, no, a project-based instruction, and you sort of evaluate the level of how advanced the students are, task-based instruction, inquiry-based instructions. You know inquiry-based instruction? You know this? Educación basada en preguntas?
No.
No? Educación basada en preguntas is, for example, when you instead of, you start your whole unit with a question. So for example, it could be, if you're seeing, for example, the unit 2 in 8th grade, which is food. You say, why is healthy food so expensive? And the whole unit, you teach students vocabulary, grammar, speaking, text. All of these materials are used to respond to that question. So students have this initial question, and they have to, as long as they go, they have to answer it. Yeah, that is project-based instruction. Sorry, inquiry-based instruction. So for example, it's very used in science. ¿Por qué cuando le echo limón a la leche, se corta. And then you learned about states of the matter and I don't know, whatever. I'm making up things. But that's inquiry-based instruction. It can also be done in English. I've done it and it's very, very helpful. You can use Gantt charts, and there are many ways in which you can assess every single day, right? So that is formative versus summative. Now, it doesn't matter which one you use the most, is that both inform on the achievement of the procedural content and linguistic objective. So a teacher should always, and I just want to make sure you understand this. A teacher who only does tests is a horrible teacher. As simple as that. Because you're only evaluating the final step. You need to assess the process. Always. If you're not assessing the process, then you're not allowing students, to have time for correction, for reflection, to know what they did wrong. Has it ever happened to you that you, in your high school or maybe in the English teaching program, you thought you studied, you thought, oh, I'm going to do so good, I'm going to do so well, I studied so much last week and I get this, I know this, like, I'm gonna work it out. Then you take the test, you get the grade, and it's a freaking 3. I was like, why did I get a 3? Like, I studied so hard, I did everything. Why did this happen? Has that ever happened to you? I bet it has all the time.
Yes.
You don't know why this grade came up out of nowhere if you were so confident about it. Like, for example, in mathematics, I don't want to sound like braggy here, but when I was in high school, the only class in which my average was below 6.5, it was mathematics. So I had, in English, I had a 7, in Spanish, 6.8. Even in physical education, I had a 7 because I know how to lie. But in mathematics, even though I studied so hard, like so much, you don't understand. My best friend is very good at math. He's an architect and he knows a lot about it. And he would come to my house and just like teach me and like we'll do everything. But when I got to the test, I thought I did it correctly, and then I received the grades and it was a 3. I almost failed a year because my average in mathematics was 3.8. And then they discovered that all my other classes were 7s. And we were like, oh, doesn't matter. Okay, moving on. But that happens because the teacher is not assessing the process. Because if the teacher were assessing the process, the student will know I'm failing at this stage, right? And this is what I have to work on. So I don't have to wait until the last test to realize that I'm failing, right? I need to have hints beforehand to know that I'm failing, right? And that is so important. Yeah, can relate also, Diane. That's why it's so important to have formative assessment. So students have clues, oh, you're failing, you're doing right. You have to change things up, yes? You have to provide students with information. Now, this is the last part of evaluation. In evaluation, hopefully in planificación y evaluación, you will learn more about this, but it's only for you to understand this. So there's something called validation, yes? Validación cuanti quali. It's in Spanish here because the original, what I did here was in Spanish. So everything that you did, your tests, in the formative, in order to get a grade, it needs to be validated either with a quantifier or with a qualifier. So for example, I work at a technical school. That's why the example here is so technical, because we had the technical area of mechanics. So most of our students were mechanics and the fixed cars and everything. So for example, if the teacher wants to check partes del motor, I can say, 1, el estudiante no identifica las partes del motor. El estudiante logra identificar al menos 3 partes del motor de manera exitosa. El estudiante logra identificar 5 partes de un motor de manera exitosa. So this is validated. Why is it validated? Because the student knows that if he gets 3 parts, he gets a 2 points, right? And if he identifies 5, he has 3 points. Yes? And also it's qualitative, de manera exitosa. So if I identify the 3 parts of the motor, but in an unsuccessful way, I can have the 2 points. So everything that you do in your rubrics has to have either a number or a quality. Yes? You cannot put, for example, I don't know, grammar. El estudiante usó el presente simple. El estudiante usó el presente simple en todo el texto. El estudiante usó el presente simple cuando se le pidió. That's not validated, no tiene validación. You can say the student used the structure at least 3 times in a successful way. The student used this structure at least 5 times in a successful way. Yeah. So you have to either provide a number and a quality, successful, creative, whatever. Yeah. So that is with evaluation. Now, this is that we're done with evaluation. Once you are in your practica, you will learn more about this. So, because I'm showing you tests and rubrics is meaningless. Yeah. So we're going to move on how to design a unit. So all of the things we saw here are mostly for class, right? How to come up with class objectives and sequences for class. Now, if I want to plan a whole unit, I'm going to show you some examples. Are you seeing my screen right now?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, so when you plan a unit, there are in 2 ways in which you can do it, right? You can plan sort of the whole unit or the whole month, or you can do it week by week. I'm going to show you an example here. No, where is it? Where is it? Of a week per week evaluate. So this is yeah, this is it. This is not a class a lesson plan per class. This is a whole unit. And check what is different. Do you remember that when we were when we were covering a class, we were planning a class, was the OA, the objetivo de aprendizaje, the same as the class objectives? Yes or no? In your class, when you were planning a class, did you have to use the objetivo de aprendizaje de OA, OA1, OA2, OA3?
I remember that they were different.
Yeah, exactly. They were different because OA are so general that you cannot say I'm doing OA1 in this class. You come up with sort of a shorter version that students can understand that can tackle an OA, right? But the OA is different from your classroom. But when you plan a unit, that is when you come up with the OAs. So when you plan a unit, you don't put every single objective per class. You say this unit or this week, I will cover this OA. And this is where the curriculum nacional comes in handy. So here you don't copy every single class objective. Here is when you use the OA. And why is it important? Because when you check your unit, you can say, in this unit, I didn't, for example, cover OA number 1. So in the next unit, I will cover. Yeah. So first, units don't have objetivos per class. They have OA, objetivos de aprendizaje. They have into contents. These are not the contents of the class. It's the content of the whole week or the contents of the whole unit. And then there's something called situación de aprendizaje. In this part, you don't put every single activity. What you do is that you show the situación de aprendizaje. So for example, you state, students read a text about, I don't know, the art and analyze its parts. You don't say, for example, pre-reading, while reading, post-reading. Now you just state sort of the whole, the cycle itself. Then you go also into indicadores and how you're going to evaluate this. But what is different when you plan a whole unit? One, you don't put the class objectives, you put the OAS, and you don't go activity per activity. You just put the situations that students sort of have to practice. Only that, yeah? So this is week by week, for example. This is an example of a week per week example. So week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. So these are 8 classes, and here's the whole unit. Yes, that's an example. Or there are other schools where the lesson plan is done like this. So what they do is that they take, for example, the topic or the unit, unidad número 1, número 2, número 3, and they describe every single skill they're going to cover, and the main objective of the whole unit, and the activities. Yes? As you can see, they don't go class by class. They just put the general attitudes, the general skills, the general objectives. Yes? So this is one model. And if you can see it. So they just set the content and the generic activities. They don't go into what you do in every single class. Have you heard the Model T evaluation? Oh, sorry, lesson planning? Do you know what a T model is? No?
No.
So this is an example of a T model. That's another way you can sort of plan a whole unit. So let's say, for example, here's an example. The unit is, what's the color in your bag? How many do you have? So here's of the tercero básico, so these colors and shapes and sizes. So first you put the concept. What concepts are going to learn? Números de 1 al 10, colores, objetivos de la sala de clase, objetos de la sala de clase, relación entre los objetos y sus respectivos colores y cantidad. So these are the contents. So for example, let's say that you're covering, again, the unit about food. What will be the concepts of that unit? Vocabulary related to what? If the unit is food, what will be the vocabulary?
About food.
Vocabulary food. Thank you so much. The grammar. When you are covering food, what grammar structures do you use?
It could be articles.
Yeah, articles, yes. And you also, when you're covering food, you say there is and there are. Yes, countable and uncountable. That's another concept, right? What other concept can you relate in if we're talking about the unit of food? What other content you teach? You said vocabulary, there is, there are. What else?
Like and dislikes.
Likes and dislikes. Very good. So those are 3 contents, right? Now you go into the procedures. How am I going to teach these contents? You can say the students create a supermarket. Students analyze different videos. Students come up with sentences using there is and there are. We don't know in which classes. We just said in this whole unit, this is the procedure, right? Then you go into skills. So are they going to identify? Are they going to analyze? Are they going to practice? What are they going to? And then you go into the attitudes. The participation, respect, I don't know, sense of community, whatever. My take on this is that the easiest one is this one. This one is the one that I like the most when planning a unit, because it's contenido, estrategia, habilidad, valor. And I can come up with a plan. This is very good for you to sort of understand the whole unit. Yes? But what is the drawback or the shortcomings on the T model? Can you come up with a drawback on the T model, which is this one? Why? What is the difficulty here?
Maybe if there's like a substitute teacher, he or she is not going to understand clearly what they have to do.
Exactly. So let's say that you're working, there are two teachers of English, and you hand in, yeah, this is my lesson plan, and they take a look at it, it's like, yeah, this makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to me because I don't know what's in your mind, right? Or for example, let's say that you decided somehow that you needed to expand the unit 2 or 3 classes. This won't give you information in which week we cover what. So you have to say, oh, students, me pueden prestar sus cuadernos que no me acuerdo que hicimos la semana pasada, blah, blah. Why? Because here you have the weeks, right? You have the overall idea. So as a teacher, you can also get lost here. Yes, that is the problem with this T model. That is maybe too broad. That's why most schools use this one, the week per week. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. Most units have 5 weeks. So you just state the OA, the content, the situación de aprendizaje, indicators, and evaluation. And that's it. Yes? So this is very different from the class per class lesson plan. Now, we have finished with lesson planning. Yay. Can I hear a whoop whoop? No one? Thank you. Praise the Lord. Or whoever you believe in. Praise Buddha. I don't know. Who cares? So, I'm going to show you so we can finish because it's already, girl, it's time. It's time. Okay. So, I'm going to show you the rubric in which all of you, no matter if you're doing práctica via online or práctica teórica, the way in which you're going to be evaluated in your lesson plans, okay? So the ones who are doing práctica online already have an established classroom, and those who are doing teórica, I will give you a class and a unit that you need to plan. And I will make sure that you get something that's not very easy because I want you to see if you can actually do it. So what is the evaluation process here? First, propuesta de formulación de objetivo de aprendizajes. So, did we cover this? Do you know how to formulate an objective?
Yes.
Yes. So that is already covered, right? So we know how there are objectives related to the unit called OA, or objectives related to the class, which are the 3-part objectives, right? So this should be done. So for example, los objetivos de aprendizaje de clase y unidades están expresados en términos en que se espera que los estudiantes sepan y sean capaces de hacer y finalizar la unidad en coherencia con indicadores de evaluación. Yes? So that you know this. Yes, you know it. Desglose contenidos. Los contenidos conceptuales, procedimentales y actitudinales corresponden a cada uno de los objetivos de aprendizaje y sus indicadores de evaluación, con la extensión, coherencia curricular,
Hola, Pushi.
profundidad y... Pussy, who's Pussy?
Oh, sorry. No, Puchi es mi perro.
Yeah, because naming someone
Sorry.
Pussy requires a lot, but a lot of commitment.
Sorry.
No, take care of Pussy. Okay, so desglose contenido, it means that if you know that, you know how to arrange the contents. So for example, if you're teaching, again, the units of food, you know that first you need to teach the vocabulary, then you go into there is, there are, then you go into likes and dislikes. And all of this relates to, for example, if you stated in your objective that they have to do creatively, it means that your content has to be creative. That's as simple as that, yes? Distribución del tiempo, that means that you know how to make a 90-minute class, or you can sort of arrange the engaging part in just 5 minutes, things like that. Organización de la enseñanza, Organiza sus clases identificando momentos con actividades coherentes a los indicadores propuestos. We learned about indicators, yes? So you know about indicators.
Yes.
And actividades que responden a la diversidad de aprendizaje. Las actividades son pertinentes y consideran la diversidad de los aprendizajes para el logro de los objetivos planteados mediante su indicador de evaluación. And evaluation. Evaluation is the one that has the most points. So you have to create with an evaluation plan. The evaluation plan can be either summative or formative. Doesn't matter. Dice, el plan de evaluación en conjunto permite una visión comprensiva y detallada del proceso evaluativo de aprendizaje, propósito, diagnóstico, formativo, sumativo, evidencia y actividades e instrumentos de evaluación considerando la diversidad de aprendizaje. Plantea criterios de evaluación consistentes y pertinentes a los objetivos de aprendizaje. Las actividades, instrumentos y o técnicas de evaluación son coherentes a la complejidad cognitiva de los objetivos y al tipo de actividades de aprendizaje propuestas. Las actividades, instrumentos y o técnicas escogidas son suficientes para recoger evidencias y los instrumentos, técnicas y pautas de corrección presentan calidad técnica en forma consistente. And then you go into resources and language and whatever. So basically, once you finish your contextualization, you will have to say, okay, now the co-planning report. In co-planning, we're going to be asked to plan a unit, yes, plan a unit, showcase a lesson plan of one lesson, come up with indicators, come up with materials and an evaluation that corresponds to the objective, yes? So you have to come up with a lesson plan, a unit, an indicator, and an evaluation that meets the objective. Is that clear? So those are sort of in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. So again, a class, a unit, indicators, resources, and evaluation that meets the objective. So again, if your objective,
Professor?
yes.
And this activity that we're going to do, this evaluation, I'm sorry, no, the informe,
Yes.
to be more clear. The unit that we're going to plan has to correspond to the unit that we will implement en la semana de inversión.
Exactly. Those who are doing the online, it has to do with the one that you're doing during your 2 weeks of immersion. Yes, it has to do with that. So you have to sort of tell me how you plan those 2 weeks or that mini unit. That's all about. While the ones who are doing the práctica in modalidad teórica, they'll have to plan what's normal a 4-week unit. Yes, only because they don't have to go to a classroom and teach. They have more time. Yeah. What's important, and I don't think I responded to your question. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
good.
you. Yes.
So, class, please, for both groups, this is the most important part of the práctica intermedia. And as you can see, this has 136 puntos maximum. So there's a lot that needs to be done here. So please, when you finish your contextualization, you can also do research on didactics, on ways to plan a lesson. You can ask other students from other generations, how do you do this? Could you lend me one of your lesson plans? You can go online in Facebook. I don't use Facebook anymore, but if you go on Facebook, there are groups where, thank you, Antonia. Antonia did this report as well, so she knows about it. You can ask Antonia about lesson plans. And most of the lesson plans that we saw on the other classes were brought by Antonia. Antonia is our savior, and she gave us all of the examples. So you can go to Facebook also, and in Facebook there's so many Grupo Profesores de Inglés 1, 2, 3, 4, and they share their lesson plans. And you can see, how do we do this? What can we do this here? Yeah. So try to sort of get inspired by this. The idea is that you feel, or I make sure that you know how to plan a class from top to bottom, from beginning to end. Yes, that is the main point here. If you know how to create an objective, an indicator, a process, activities that meet the objective, an evaluation that meets also the objective, I assure you that you're prepared to do a class. Because
Professor, I have
everything
another question.
is here. Yes, Andrea?
For example, we're not like having face-to-face classes with the students in our practicum, but we just send them like the classes written or in a PPT. So when we do this activity, should we plan this as we are in a face-to-face class or according to the modality that we are working on right now?
No, in your case, according to your modality.
Okay.
So that will change the whole part of the assessment. It will be changed because you will have to come up with assessment that is like internet friendly. That will change. But for the ones who are doing the práctica teórica, you will do the whole lesson planning as if you were in a real classroom. Yes? In a face-to-face interaction. Yes. You're welcome, Andrea. Because those who are doing the práctica teórica, eventually they will have to do the práctica hands-on. So I have to make sure that you know how to plan as if you were in a face-to-face situation, right? So that's why the report for those who are doing the práctica teórica is a bit more complex than the ones who are doing modalidad online. In the same way that the contextualization of modalidad online is more difficult than the contextualization of the other one. So it all balances out, okay? So don't focus on the nitty-gritty, but just tell me this, and I want you, so we can finish, I want you to hear your voices, beautiful voices, or I want you to write on the chat. So we started covering lesson planning 3 weeks ago. So could you please tell me if you think you know how to plan a lesson better now? Yes or no? Can someone say yes? Or
Yes.
Why? Why do you think? Do you know how to?
Because you made very clear the specifications of each part and element in a lesson plan. For example, you stated the difference between the class objective and the OA.
Yes.
And also what we have to bear in mind when we are going to plan a class. What is the first step, then what should we do? Also, that evaluation, assessment are very important parts of the learning process, especially evaluation. So I think that it was very useful, and it was a completed like definition of every concept.
Yeah, I was concerned. Thank you, Valentina, for that. I was concerned, was worried because you hadn't had any real lesson planning sort of class, right? Like planificación.
I mean, we have done it in previous courses, but but not in that
sort of,
not in like this.
Nitty-gritty,
more,
nitpicking.
Yeah.
Thank you, Valentina. Can someone else tell me?
Welcome.
Professor, teacher, I learned this, and or I was feeling really, I wasn't confident that I could plan a lesson, and I feel more confident. I need to hear you so I can know how to move on from here. Just one more person who feels like they have improved and why you have improved. No one? Someone? I'm waiting. I have snacks. I can wait the whole 2 hours.
Well, I think I need more practice, but
I feel really, really more confident now.
Mhm.
Yes.
So were you feeling,
But what,
sorry, were you not feeling confident in the beginning about
no.
lesson planning? Good. And now it's sort of better.
Yes, I think I need to practice doing lesson plans, but I think I prepared for that now.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that. That is the most important thing to me, at least, that you feel like if you go to school, you're not sort of lost in translation and you know what to do. At least you know that how to write an objective, and they give you a unit, you know, at least, okay, I have to think about the content, the skills, and the attitudes. Okay, let's start from that. Yeah. So again, I hope that you learn more about this in your planification class. How is the planification class going? Can someone tell me? I won't be sharing
Good.
this with anyone. I'm just like checking to see. Yeah, good.
Yeah, we've seen some content and also relevant to planning, evaluation. So we're doing good, I think.
Okay. Excellent. So you feel like you're learning there also.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that we have just begun with the course, but we are in the right track, I think.
Cool. So
On the right track.
on the right track. Yeah. Someone else? No?
Yeah, actually, I agree with Valentina. I think on Monday we saw una planificación por unidad, and
Yeah.
the
Primero
teachers,
básico.
yeah, the teacher showed us the same format. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
She even showed us una planificación de matemáticas también como ejemplo con los ejes y todo eso. Así que fue bien entretenido.
Maybe I am him. Who knows? Maybe we're the same. Have you seen us in the same room together? Just saying. Okay, so I'm glad about that because I felt that you were like a deer in the headlights. You didn't know where to go, what to do. So I'm glad that you sort of, and maybe in more when you advance in your program, you'll hear more about indicadores, OA, OFT, those concepts you will hear more often. They will integrate with your knowledge. So if you feel you have mastered them, don't worry because that takes time. Like I taught for 4 years and I still don't recall the 16 OAs per unit that is in the first and second level of English. So don't worry about that. No one does. So no one has like all the mastering in that. Okay, so class, do we have any doubts, questions? Yeah, as Antonia said, as a teacher, you will always have something new to learn. And I will ensure you, and this will happen to you, the day you will feel confident with the way that you plan, they're going to tell you, oh, yeah, we're going to change that. So you have to plan in this way now. Yeah, exactly. And new decretos will come like from nothing and will tell you, for example, yeah, Alejandra Piña, yeah, I like your classes, but change everything now. Schools will tell you that. Schools will tell you that. So it's always a learning process, okay? So yeah, you have any doubts so we can finish this
Yes,
class?
I do.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the Excel that you were going to upload because Vanessa and I have already started.
Oh, Antonia should have sent you the link. Maybe she hasn't.
Yes, tell me. I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Yes, because I know that we have to fill an Excel
Yes.
document with the with what we do and the hours and
The
Exactly.
6
and
hours per
Vanessa
week.
and I have already started to work with the teachers, so we would like to fill the
Okay.
document.
Let me try. I'm going to find the one that I've done before I left my final practicum for the second semester. So I will share with you my screen. So maybe you will have a clue
Yeah,
of what you
but
have
what
to do.
Andrea, I'm sorry, Antonio. What Andrea is saying is that she does the document hasn't been shared to her.
Yes.
Ay, ¿cómo se llama esa cuestión?
Spreadsheet.
The
The
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet.
Yes, because he
Spreadsheet.
understood that everyone has to feel like the same type of document.
Yes, you all have to fill in the same kind, this type of document where you have the number, the date, the course, the
Yeah.
teacher, the activity, and you also have this especificación de horas, I believe,
Yeah,
and
desglose
part
horas.
of the form. Yeah, desglose. So there you have to complete this, like
So we
on
have to
what-
do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
No,
ho-
Antonia, I think that what she means that she doesn't have this. I'm going to show you what I think she means. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going
Yes,
to.
because I understood that you were going to send us the spreadsheet that we have to fill.
Yeah, I
almost-
think that she means that she doesn't have this.
Yes.
Do you
I
all
don't
have this?
that.
Yes. So you should all have received this. Maybe check your PUSEB email or just tell Antonia about it. Just when you put your desglose.
So I'm
Okay,
sorry,
thank
I don't
you.
know if it's because my internet is really bad, but are you asking me if I shared with you the spreadsheet or did I not, or how to fill in?
No,
The
I think she's saying that she doesn't have the link or you haven't shared with her
Oh,
this yet.
I will
So
check that right away. I'm really sorry.
yeah, just make sure that yeah, that will be it. Okay. Any questions, class? Because I have a meeting in 10 more minutes.
Professor,
Yeah.
I don't really understand what the ones that are in the theory classes, how do we fill the Excel?
Oh yeah.
I
So
don't
the ones who are doing the
know
practical,
it.
sorry. I don't know if she's stuck or I'm stuck. Oh yes. Valentina, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the ones who are doing the practica, the ones who are doing the practica in a theoretical way, what they have to do is tell me that you have actually spent at least 6 weeks per student doing your research. So for example, you can tell me, I researched the PI and looked for the mission, vision, and the sellos educativos, and I sort of did it on a Word document. How many hours did you spend? 1 hour, for example, or 2. So you tell me how many hours you spent doing what, doing your research. Yes. So the thing is that it has to add up to 6. So I know and your classmates know that you're actually doing something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's just to keep a track of what you're doing and how many hours did you spend. So it can be actually 6. Or if you collaborated something, you can say my group, let's say that your group is Valentina, Alejandra, and Esperanza. The 3 of us had a meeting for 1 hour and we discussed this, for example.
Oh yeah, yes, I have a question about that. I didn't understand. Do we have to fill that like per person or per group?
Per person, because every person has to spend 6 weeks per week in the practica, either online or in the theoretical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, 6 weeks besides this hour. So it's like six weeks doing things plus the 7.5 doing this. Yeah, so try to fill that in because it's a requirement for the practica. Yeah,
Yes.
are we clear on that?
Yes.
Good. Just before I leave you when I close this, please tell your classmates that they need to log in into practica sessions, because we started real good with the excellent level of participation and all the students were joining in, but now I think they're not understanding the fact that even though we're on strike, this has to, you have to like be here. And that's concerning because tomorrow I have a meeting and I have to present the systems. So please tell them, because I will not like someone to fail this because they're not showing up to the sessions. Yes, please tell, I'm not going to name names, but tell them that next week, please, if you don't show up or if you have problems, write to me before. I have only 2 students who did it this week, and you're supposed to be 24 here. Yeah, so just a warning, and I'm not being like mad and serious. So yeah, clear on that?
Yes.
Yes, good. So we're done, we're finished.
Okay.
Well, I was expecting a bit more excitement, but okay.
Yay!
Thank
Yay!
you. I want to hear either a clap or a wow by Sebastian. Are you alive, Sebastian? He's not, he's sleeping. Let's see if Sebastian responds. No, you see, Sebastian is sleeping. Okay, so just...
Yay!
¡Eh! Ese es mi compadre. Ese es mi compadre. Ya, listo, estamos. Pueden salirse y Esperanza, hablo contigo acá en privado. ¿Ya? Eso. Chao, niños.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Adiós.
Bye.
Bye.